conversation. Today, we want to talk about the young Premier League managers in the. We want to talk about the young managers in the English Premier League. And in a while, we've got. Before, we used to have like old managers, the likes of Alex Ferguson, David Moyes, Ancelotti, Mancini, and some old managers like that. But right now, we're in the era of the so called Gen Z managers, and it's quite interesting because we've got a whole lot of them who we watched some 5, 6, 8 years back, and they are now title winning managers, whether in the Premier League or in the German League or wherever league they came from. So let's talk about the Premier League, and let's talk about the the managers that will be running the show in the Premier League this season. But before I go there, I just quickly want to check if my live stream is probably set up. If you're still watching, please don't leave. Yeah, I just want to check if my live stream is working all right. I will lower the volume of my second device so it doesn't interfere with what I'm doing. Okay, brilliant. So I just placed this in front of me. So if I have any chat, just 1 second, I'll be able to read it. I just put this other one in landscape mode, and yeah, so I'm able to follow through the comments. So let's get started. I have Fabian Ozila, who is 33 years old, who currently manage a club called Brighton. He's won 2 Bundesliga titles, and he took Sempoli from. What am I saying? He's won 2 Bundesliga. No, he actually brought Sempoli to the Bundesliga. And these guys are the M of affairs at Brighton, and we also what Brighton is playing currently. Even though it looks like Brighton always supply their products to Chelsea every season, Chelsea must buy at least one player from Brighton, and we saw that with Casedo, with Cucurella, with a lot of players like that, with Levi Cowie and many other. Was Levi Cowie from Brighton or Leicester? If you are joining, we're just talking about Premier League managers, especially the young ones. So we call them the Gen Z managers. So there is Matthias Jasself, that is the former Alali coach who came to Newcastle. But I don't want to talk much about him because I don't really know much about him. But let's talk about Alvaro Abello. Abello is someone that left Real Madrid to come pick the job at Fulham. Who did Abello succeed at Real Madrid? Xabi Alonso. And you know the funniest thing, the first game of the season is between Chelsea and Fulham, which is Xabi Alonso versus Alvaro Abello, two former managers. And I wouldn't say there is much to Abello's achievement at Real Madrid other than the fact that he was a youth coach who became an assistant coach, who became an interim coach. So if he has any bulk of achievement, that's probably with the youth team. Anyway, so Alvaro Abella at Fulham. I've got another one here, Mikel Arteta, and I like to refer to Arteta as the most experienced Premier League manager right now because he's been there 6, 7, 8 years, and you can see the trajectory, you can see the progression with Arsenal. From coming eighth to fifth to sixth to back second and stuff like that. And since Pep Guardiola has left the Premier League, I think Arteta will be a lot of problem with so many clubs. Please let me have some. This is actually my first live stream, so pardon me if everything is a bit wobbly. I'm trying to get my setup right? So we all know Mikel Arteta, and he's the biggest threat in the Premier League right now because Asa will worry. Asa is a big problem, but let's look at Andoni Iraola, who is currently the coach of Liverpool. He came from Bournemouth, and we knew or we know what he did when he was at Bournemouth. The question is, can he replace that form at Bournemouth at Liverpool, or he was able to do that at Bournemouth because Bournemouth is like an average club? The pressure is different. Let me adjust my seat. The pressure is different when you're playing for, when you're managing a big team. The expectation is high, everything is off the charts. But then, can Anthony Iraola do something with Liverpool with his direct football kind of things? Remember those players then at Bournemouth, they are able to do those things because there is less pressure on them. In Liverpool, it's going to be a different ball game. I'm not saying he will not succeed at Liverpool. Has anyone joined? But it's going to be a different ball game entirely. Like, it's going to be a different ball game entirely at Liverpool. Um, I think it took Bournemouth to their first European qualification, and it gave them their biggest point ever in the English Premier League. But that's a less headache to me. Let's talk about Xabi Alonso, Chelsea. You can see my Chelsea scarf, right? Alonso is actually 44 as well. He's in the same generation with Mikel Arteta, Iraola, and stuff like that. And even just a year younger than Michael Carrick. We will come to Carrick. Let's talk about Xabi Alonso. I don't want to say he came from Real Madrid. Before Real Madrid, he was at Bayern Leverkusen and he won the league title at Bundesliga with Bayern Leverkusen unbeaten all through the season. I think he won double, actually, domestic double, unbeaten. Then he moved to Real Madrid. When he was fired at Real Madrid, he wasn't doing too bad. In fact, he had a win ratio of about 73. He's one of the Madrid managers with the highest win ratios to be fired. But there were a lot of internal crises, and then he had to leave before Abelua took over. Now, Xabi Alonso, who was a great Premier League midfielder at his time, is now at the end of affairs at Chelsea. What can he do for Chelsea? The expectation is high. Chelsea fans, we've been looking for savior for a very long time. Let me see if we have anybody. If you're still joining, don't forget, I'm just having a chat, talking to the camera and talking to you if you actually watching this video about the young managers in the Premier League and what is expected from them. And before I go on with this list, all of these managers will not succeed. It's just like 20 kids cannot play for 20 years. All of these young managers cannot succeed. As a matter of fact, before December, one of them will be fired. But I know it won't be Sabi Alonso. And there is Michael Carrick, who is 45, Manchester United. He was a Middlesbrough coach in the Championship. Then he took them to the playoff, and then he became he got a role at Man United as interim, and now he took Man United from wherever they are, took them to the top three in the Premier League, and now he's got his permanent contract. And under Michael Carrick, it appears like Man U found their feet, the team spirit, the team bonding. They played as a team rather than as an individual. And under Michael Carrick, Bruno Fernandes broke the 21 assist record. So there's a big expectation, so much expectation from Michael Carrick. Again, I can attribute some of those, what do I call it now? Some of those successes to the fact that Man United was playing fewer games. Their first game at the League Cup, they knocked them off. Their first game at the FA Cup, they knocked them off. They were not in any European competition. All they had was just the Premier League. So in total, in that Michael Carrick season, Man United played just 40 games. So it was easy for them to have proper rest, focus on their game while other people are traveling cold Thursday night, cold Tuesday night to Bodo Glimt and other places like that. So I am looking forward to what Michael Carrick is going to do at Manchester United this season. Let's talk about Keith Andrews. Keith Andrews also is what do I say now? Yeah, he's a Brentford coach, but then he was a set piece coach at was a set piece, yeah, he was a set piece coach to Thomas Frank. Then when Thomas Frank got the Tottenham job, Keith Andrews became Brentford head coach, and that's why you can see the set piece prowess of Brentford with the Michael Cowde's long throw and stuff like that. So um Bournemouth finished, was it night or something? So I said Bournemouth. Brentford finished, was it night or something like that? So much is also expected from him. Then there is Enzo Maresca, who is 46. Maresca was also a Pep Guardiola's assistant, backroom staff. Is 46. He was a manager of Chelsea. He dumped Chelsea's job on January 1st to go and pick up Manchester City's job in advance. That's actually crazy. So he's one of those managers. We are discussing managers under 50 in the Premier League. And he won 2 trophies with Chelsea. He won the UEFA Conference League with Chelsea, and he won the Club World Cup for Chelsea. And now he is inheriting the Pep Guardiola system without Rodri, without Bernardo Silva. So it's going to be faced with a long term, with like departure of long term players and manager, which money cannot buy. So they can have the money to buy Elliot Anderson, have the money to buy Boadidi, have the money to chase Enzo Fernandez, have the money to buy everything in the world. But can money really feel that long term impact of Guardiola leaving and 2 long term players leaving? We would also find out. If you're still watching this video, you can drop your comments for me. I'm actually monitoring the comment section through my other gadgets down here, so I can always address whatever comes up. Then there is Roberto Di Zerbi. I think I'm just gonna keep it at 2 more. I'll stop at I'll mention Roberto Di Zerbi and Frank Lampard. So Di Zerbi used to be Tottenham coach. Sorry, he used to be Brighton coach. Then went to Marseille. Then came to Tottenham. As we all know, Tottenham struggled so much last season. They were at the brink of relegation. Miraculously, Di Zerbi escaped relegation with Tottenham. It wasn't Di Zerbi's fault. He came as a messiah to rescue them. He came as a savior after Thomas Frank, after Ange posted the Gloku was sacked. Sorry, I can't pronounce his last name. Let's just say Ange. After Ange was sacked, Thomas Frank was appointed. Thomas Frank was sacked. They appointed Igor Tudor was sacked, and then they got Di Zerbi. Di Zerbi was the man who actually rescued Tottenham season. And we knew what he did with Brighton when he gave them their highest Premier League finish. He took Brighton to the 6th position. Now he's at the end of affairs at Tottenham. What can he do? Right, let's go to Frank Lampard, Super Frankie. Lampard is actually 48. If you look at it, if Lampard is 48 and we watched him, I watched him, you watched him, then definitely we watched Michael Carrick, who is 45. We watched Sabi Alonso, who is 44. We watched Mikel Arteta, who is 44. We watched Avelo Rabelua, who is 43. And it feels like yesterday, but these guys are already managers, top managers. So Lampard has brought Coventry to the Premier League in his first full season. It means that Lampard joined them somewhere along the line last season, and then he brought them to the Premier League. With Lampard's experience with Chelsea and Premier League, he's been Chelsea's manager, whether interim or not, twice. He's been the highest goal scoring midfielder in the Premier League of all time. As a player, he knows the league. As a manager, he knows the league. Now he's with Coventry. What can he do with Coventry? Do you think Lampard will go back to relegation or he's going to make Coventry stay in the English Premier League. If you're still watching this live stream, don't forget to um, drop a comment. And if you've got any opinion or any conversation about these managers, you can let me know in the comments. I also have some managers here. Hull City's manager is 49. He's called Sajid Jakirovic. There is Daniel Farker. He's a German who manages Leeds United, and he won championship twice with Norwich and then took Leeds back to the Premier League. Woo! That's amazing. So there's Daniel Farke. Also, Leeds United fans will actually be expecting some good stuff from him this season. But like we all know, every season there are always these managers. What do I call it now? There's always this managers vibe, hype kind of thing, And I would say in the last 10 seasons, Pep Guardiola is the one who has made the Premier League really, really tough. Like, he's the one that has put a lot of managers on their toes. Now he's no more in the Premier League. And everybody now has a fair chance with Mikel Arteta being like having a hedge above all of them because the team he has built, the work he has done over the year, and the core of the team is still there. His recent winner of the Premier League. So the defending champion in any tournament is always the contender until something else happens otherwise. Crystal Palace also got a manager called Per Sage when Oliver Glasner left them. So it's just been seems we've got 16 managers in the Premier League who are under 50. So you see that actually, truly, 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 we are in the Gen Z era manager. Not Gen Z though, but for context, for agenda, we call them Gen Z because they are under 50. In the real world, Gen Z is not under 50, but you know how football can be. A player above 30 is an old man, whereas in real life, a 30-year-old man is still young. Whereas in the coaching role is usually for elders. So a manager under 50 is considered young, so we call them Gen Z. Bear in mind, Fabian Ozela, Brighton's coach, is 33. Some of you will later see this video, you are older than 33. So somebody that you are older than is already a successful Premier League manager. All right. So the season is going to be long. Coaches will be fired, coaches will succeed, coaches will pick form, coaches will lose, they will lose form. But who would be the first manager to be fired out of all of these 16 under 50 managers? Let me run through the list again in case you're just joining halfway or you're just joining this live video at this point in time. There is Fabian Ozela, 33. There is the new Newcastle coach, is 38. Alvaro Arbeloa, Fulham, 43. Gary O'Neill, Ipswich, 43. Mikel Arteta, Arsenal, 44. Andoni Iraola, 44. Liverpool. Xabi Alonso, 44. Chelsea. Michael Carrick, Man United, 45. Keith Andrews, 45. Brentford. Enzo Maresca, Manchester City, 46. Roberto Di Zerbi, Tottenham Hotspur, 47. Coventry, Frank Lampard, 48. Before then, Crystal Palace, Pereira Sage is 47. Marco Rose for Bournemouth, 49. And Daniel Farker, 49 for Leeds United. And Sajid Jakirovic for Hull City, 49. So 16 managers in the Premier League are below the age of 50. Let me know who you will be. I'm trying to frame it now. I'm trying to get my thoughts together. Let me know who you would be rooting for. Is that the word? See, is a different thing if I'm a Chelsea fan and then obviously I'm expecting Sabi Alonso to perform, but it's a different thing when I'm rooting for Fabian Ozela to outperform expectation. Is a different. I'm not saying Brighton will win the Premier League, but if Fabian Ozela takes Brighton to fifth position, for example, because Dizabi took them to sixth, then he has outperformed expectation. That's what I'm trying to say by who you are rooting for. I'm not asking who's going to win the league. Of course, I'm not expecting Daniel Farke to win the league, or I'm not expecting Crystal Palace to win the league. I'm just saying which of these managers are you rooting for? For example, if Lampard takes Coventry to about 10th or 12th position and stays in the Premier League, he has outperformed expectation because usually what we have is relegation clubs come to the Premier League and then go back. So if you are still watching so far, it's my first live video and just pardon my excesses. Um, there's just a lot to talk about in football. So, but I'm going to limit this video to the Gen Z managers, the managers under 50. In my subsequent live sessions, I would love that we have interactions. You know, if you can join the live, then if you can drop comments, we're still going to talk about clubs, about players, about transfers. We're still going to talk about El Clasico. We're going to talk about other leagues as well. Since this channel is dedicated to football majorly, we're going to have unlimited football talk, even after match day. I'll just come online and then we'll just talk about the opinions. You let me know your reaction about matches and all of that. So if you're watching this video up to this point, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel so that we can always have a conversation together. Thank you for watching to this point. You see me again some other time when I come live. Don't forget, I've got series of videos on my channel already that you might need to watch. Different opinions. There are short videos that will not take. I'm not saying YouTube short. There are videos between 3, 5, 8, 10, 12, 15 minutes of my football opinion and my thoughts process about football. You might want to just check them out. And if there's any one of them you like, drop a comment for me. I'll be there with you and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Have an amazing time. Bye.